The Goofmobile was not your normal spaceship. No, it was much, much better. It looked like a giant sneaker, a big, red, super cool sneaker with white laces. It zipped through space like a football kicked really, really hard. Inside, Leah gripped the controls. She was only 8, but she was the captain. And she was a very good captain. Her purple energy sword was safely clipped to her belt, ready for anything. She grinned, her eyes sparkling with excitement. "Next stop, Zonteary," she shouted. "Are you guys ready for the best festival in the whole galaxy?" "Ready," he said with his mouth full. "I hope they have snacks at the festival. Do you think they have space hot dogs? Or maybe alien ice cream?" "I bet alien ice cream has 3 scoops, and maybe sprinkles made of tiny stars. That would be so cool. I am definitely ready for snacks." In the back, 2 dogs were busy. They were not just any dogs. Oh no, they were super dogs. Bastien, the tough French bulldog, was polishing his little doggy helmet. He looked very serious, like a tiny wrinkly general getting ready for a big battle. He grunted, a sound that probably meant ready for action. Next to him, Boudreaux, the smart one, was tapping away on a tiny computer with his paws. But Boudreaux wasn't a French bulldog. He was a clever little Yorkie with silky fur and bright eyes. Beep, boop, bop. He was checking the Goofmobile's systems and probably downloading a new game to play later. He yipped happily, which meant all systems were go. The planet Zonteary grew bigger and bigger in the window. It looked like a giant swirly marble, all blues and greens and purples. Leah couldn't wait. The Ring of Radiance festival was famous. It was a huge party that happened only when the planet's 2 moons perfectly covered its sun, making a beautiful ring of light in the sky. Everyone in the galaxy wanted to be there. "Almost there, team," Leah announced, steering the giant sneaker ship towards a big fluffy cloud. "Let's get this party started." The whole crew cheered, ready for fun, games, and maybe some of those space hot dogs Hudson was dreaming about. As the Goofmobile flew closer, Leah noticed something was wrong. Very wrong. There were no party lights, no happy music, no crowds of cheering aliens. Instead, the big festival city looked messy and quiet. Buildings were dark. Colorful banners were torn and lying on the ground like sad, floppy noodles. Little Zonterian creatures, who usually had big, happy smiles, were hiding behind buildings. They looked scared. Their long, floppy ears drooped down to their shoulders. This was not a party. This was a party pooper's paradise. "Leah," Hudson said, pointing a sticky finger at the view screen. "That doesn't look like a festival. It looks like my room after I tried to build a pillow fort, a really, really messy pillow fort." He was right. The whole place was in chaos. The big central plaza where the new ruler was supposed to be crowned was completely empty. The beautiful crystal throne sat there all alone. The special moment of the eclipse was supposed to celebrate peace and choose a new leader for the planet. But there was no leader and no peace. Just a big, spooky silence. Leah landed the Goofmobile gently behind a giant mushroom-shaped building. The crew stepped out. A small, trembling Zontearian with big, watery eyes peeked out from behind a trash can. "It's the Shadow Syndicate," he whispered, his voice shaky. "They came during the eclipse. They stole the Radiance Ring." He explained that the Radiance Ring was super important. It wasn't just shiny jewelry, it held all the light and goodness of the planet. Without it, the festival couldn't finish, and the planet would be stuck in darkness and sadness. The Shadow Syndicate wanted to keep it that way. "The Shadow Syndicate?" Leah gasped. She had heard stories about them. They were a group of grumpy space villains who hated fun parties and anything shiny. They were led by a big, mean-looking guy named Kravos, who wore a helmet that was way too spiky. "They stole the ring to ruin the festival and take over the planet," Leah declared, her hand resting on her energy sword. "Well, they can't do that. Not while the Goofmobile crew is here. We have to get that ring back and save the party." The little Zonterian's eyes widened with a tiny spark of hope. Leah gathered her team inside the Goofmobile. It was time for a plan, a really good plan, a plan so good it deserved its own theme song. "Okay, team," she said, pacing back and forth like a real captain. "The Shadow Syndicate has the Radiance Ring. They're probably holding it in their big, scary fortress on Gloom Mountain. Boudreaux, can you find it for us?" Boudreaux didn't need to be asked twice. He jumped onto his computer, his little tail wagging furiously. His paws flew across the keyboard. "Tap, tap, tap, beep, that is it," Boudreaux yipped, pointing a paw at the screen. "Z Fortress of Forever Sadness." Bastien growled. He didn't like sadness. He preferred treats and naps. Leah nodded. Okay, so we know where it is, but it's surrounded by guards. We can't just walk in. She looked at her cousin. Hudson, this is where you come in. We need a distraction. A really big, really loud, really snack-related distraction. Hudson's eyes lit up. A distraction. I'm the best at distractions, he said, zipping up his rocket suit. I could fly around and pretend I'm a giant space burrito looking for a home. Or I could set off my Super Mega Burt Blaster 3000. It makes a sound so loud it can curdle milk from 3 planets away. Leah grinned. That was perfect. A flying burrito was exactly the kind of silly thing that would confuse the Shadow Syndicate guards. Perfect, Hudson. While you're being a burrito, the rest of us will sneak inside. The final part of the plan was for the dogs. Bastien, you're on guard duty. You protect us from any sneaky syndicate members who get past Hudson, Leah instructed. Bastien puffed out his chest and gave a tough little bark. He was ready to protect. And Boudreaux, Leah continued, you will be our tech expert. You need to hack into their system and open the doors for us. Boudreaux gave a happy yip and adjusted his tiny glasses. The plan was set. Operation Ring Rescue was a go. It was time to save the festival and bring the shine back to Zonteary. The plan started with a bang, or, well, more accurately, a whoosh and a yell. Fear me, for I am the great space burrito. Hudson shot into the sky like a firework, his rocket suit blazing. He was flying in loopy loops above the dark fortress, and the Shadow Syndicate guards looked up, super confused. Honestly, they had never seen a flying boy in a rocket suit pretending to be a burrito before. They pointed their laser blasters at him, but Hudson was just way too fast, zipping and zooming all over the place. It was the perfect distraction. The guards totally forgot to watch the front door. While the guards were busy staring at the sky burrito, Leah, Bastien and Boudreaux crept towards the fortress entrance. The huge metal door was locked tight. Boudreaux, you're up, Leah whispered. Righto, Captain, hold on to your biscuits. The clever Yorkie pulled a small device from his backpack and plugged it into the door's control panel. His little paws danced over the screen. Red lights turned to green. The giant door slid open with a quiet hiss. Good boy, Boudreaux, Leah whispered, patting his head. They slipped inside with Bastien walking in front, sniffing the air for any sign of trouble. Inside, the fortress was dark and spooky. It smelled like old socks and grumpy feelings. They tiptoed down a long hallway. Suddenly, 2 guards rounded a corner. They spotted the team. Before they could even shout, Bastien sprang into action. Whoa! He charged forward and tripped them up with his leash. The guards tumbled over each other like bowling pins, landing in a surprised heap on the floor. Bastien stood over them, growling, making sure they wouldn't get up. Nice work, Bastien, Leah said, giving him a quick thumbs up. They had to keep moving. They followed the map on Boudreaux's tablet, deeper and deeper into the fortress. They climbed stairs, crawled through vents, and tiptoed past rooms full of sleeping guards. Finally, they reached a huge door with a sign that said, Treasure Room, keep out! Especially you, heroes. Boudreaux quickly hacked the lock. The door swung open, and there, in the middle of the room, sitting on a velvet pillow, was the Radiance Ring. It was glowing with a soft, beautiful light, but standing right next to it was the biggest, meanest villain of all, Kravos. So the little heroes have arrived. His voice was like rocks grinding together. He was huge, with a spiky helmet that looked very pointy and dangerous. He picked up the Radiance Ring. You are too late. With this ring I will spread gloom across the entire galaxy. There will be no more parties, no more fun, and definitely no more flying burritos. He laughed a big, booming laugh that echoed around the room. But Leah was not scared. She was brave. She was a hero. And she was not going to let this grumpy guy ruin everything. You won't get away with this, Kravos, Leah shouted, pulling her purple energy sword from her belt. It hummed to life, glowing with a bright, powerful light. Give back the ring! Kravos just laughed again and aimed a gloom blaster at her, but before he could fire, Boudreaux yipped and pressed a button on his tablet. Time for a little party crash, monsieur. Suddenly, all the lights in the fortress turned into disco lights, and loud party music started playing. Kravos was so surprised he dropped his blaster. This was their chance. Leah charged forward, her energy sword held high. Kravos was big, but Leah was fast. She dodged his clumsy attempts to grab her, ducking and weaving like a super-fast space ninja. She leaped onto a table, then jumped into the air, spinning like a purple tornado. With a perfectly aimed swing, she knocked the Radiance Ring right out of Kravos's hand. The ring flew through the air in a beautiful, sparkly arc. Bastien, seeing his chance, jumped up and caught it gently in his mouth. He was a very good catcher. Kravos roared with anger, but just then Hudson crashed through the ceiling. "The burrito has landed." He landed right on top of Kravos. The big villain was trapped under Hudson and a pile of rubble. The Shadow Syndicate was defeated. Leah took the ring from Bastien. "Let's get this back to the festival," she said. They ran out of the fortress just as the Zontearian guards arrived to arrest Kravos and his grumpy gang. The Goofmobile crew had done it. They had saved the day with teamwork, bravery, and a little bit of burrito-based silliness.